All right, y'all, what is going on? Back with another video. Hopefully everything is going good. It is Tuesday morning, and I'm going to work a little bit later than usual. Had to take care of some things, but it's all good. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. Everything is good. If you're out there grinding, that is awesome. If you're maintaining, keep it up. That's even better. And we're going to talk about, I guess we could talk some more about Stop Killing Games. But I do want to talk about why these companies are actually going in and defending this. And then I know some people think, well, this is the obvious stuff. You know, we done heard this before, and maybe so. But I want to go in depth into it because I want to give my perspective on it. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I do videos on gaming and everything under that umbrella on this channel. And hopefully you guys stick around, like, share, and subscribe, and hopefully you guys will enjoy the content. All right, with that being said, let's talk about this. Stop Killing Games is basically a movement that is started by, I think it was started by Ross from Accursed Farms. And he's been doing a pretty good job of making things happen. And they started a petition or an initiative, which now has gotten over 1.4 million signatures. Hopefully, let's say 90% of those, or maybe 95% of those signatures are valid, because they gotta have at least 1 million signatures. So let's say maybe 100, 200,000 of them are invalid. Still has enough to go in front of the EU Parliament. Now, with that being said, it is looking very good because there are other politicians outside of the two that I talked about on my channel, you know, earlier, that are actually on board. I mean, we're up to like maybe what, 6 or 7 politicians that are actually in this fight with us. So that's pretty cool. But these companies are not so much. These companies, these Ubisofts of the world and others, are really not into what we're trying to do. And here's why. Basically, let me fix my camera. Okay. So basically, what's going on is, these companies do not want these games to continue to flourish. And this has been a thing for a very long time. It just hasn't been to the forefront like this. What they want us to do is enjoy the game for the time being and drop that game and actually get to the next game that they're trying to sell. It's kind of like a revenue cycle where they continue, like similar to a yearly title of a Madden or an NBA 2K or a FIFA, or like the next Call of Duty. Like some of these games, we got to give these companies credit, the developers credit. They make some really good games. Some of these games are so good. Some of these games do not need, I ain't gonna say they don't need. Some of these games don't really need to die off. Some of these games should continue because the quality of a lot of these games are really good. This is where Stop Killing Games come in, to where some people want to continue to play the same game over and over and over again, similar like to Counter-Strike, or, you know, I guess you could say World of Warcraft, or any other really good MMO, or any good like single player game. Like some of these games stand the test of time. And a lot of these companies know that. A lot of these companies know that that is the case. But what they want you to do, they want to kill off that game and make you play the sequel. They want you to continuously bring in revenue for them, or they want to continuously remaster a game. And to be quite honest, some games don't need to be remastered. Some games don't need that. And you kind of saw this when you start seeing like Horizon Zero Dawn being remastered for the PlayStation 5. You're talking about a game that was a few years old that was being remastered. And you're looking like, why is this being remastered? Look at The Last of Us, what they're doing with Naughty Dog and all these other games. Like, look what they do with them, where those games are being remastered over and over again. You know, it's getting to the point where it's tiring. And I'm not saying that they're the culprits, but when you look at a Ubisoft, that one of the companies that are really being vocal about this, look at the Assassin's Creed that they keep dropping over and over again. You know, they keep dropping them over and over again, where, not to say that these games are absolutely phenomenal, but there were a time where Assassin's Creed were really, really good. But what they want you to do is like, look, don't worry about the old games. Let's continue to make revenue by giving you another game over and over and over again. And they don't want you they don't want you to continue to play the old games, where really it's not necessarily about playing the old game. That is a huge part of it. But the Stop Killing Games, you know, whole initiative is about preserving these games. Let these games hang around and stay around for artistic and historic purposes. That is one of the main things about it. Let the game stay in a functional state so we can continue to have that game around because we paid for that game. That is another huge part of it. Basically, those two go hand in hand to the point where that is what it's all about. And some of these companies do not want that to happen. Like Ubisoft, and I know I'm like piling on Ubisoft, but they're the biggest culprit of this. They want you to get on the game, play it, and when the end of the service is ended, they want you to get rid of the game and in some cases destroy a physical copy of the game so you can continuously play the newer stuff. You know, like EA does this they do this like in a passive aggressive way with the Madden game. Like, look, Madden is football. There's not much you can do to continuously make the game better. And I know they're going to give you like this little gimmick here, a roster update there, but they still want you to pay $70 to $80, in some cases more money, to play the next game that was very similar to the last game. And I know there's a lot of people that is in that community. I've been a part of that community. I know they're going to swear up and down that, oh no, it's not the same game. Like, dog, like what is it so much different than making it be a $70 purchase? Honestly, we got to be honest with ourselves. Yeah, people get so caught up in the FOMO and latest and greatest, then they will buy into this whole stop killing games thing. And I got to give EA credit. They don't kill their games off. You know, you can go back and play Madden 16 if you want to. You know, you can play in the next 2K, you can play FIFA, you can play all these games if you want to. So I got to give them credit because they are actually putting in the actual mechanism to keep these games going. And that's the way it's supposed to be. But I will say also, at the end of the day, these other companies that are fighting for this, is kind of like a losing battle. It really is. It's kind of like a losing battle. So what I feel at the end of the day, what I feel like they should do at the end of the day is just understand that this is a losing battle, because now you have not only gamers, you got regular consumers that don't have nothing to do with gaming are catching on to this. You got politicians that are in the EU are catching on to this. And at the very minimum, I believe that there's going to be some type of a compromise that they're going to have to start letting these games live after the service ends. Now, live services, I can see where those games will pretty much die off, because some games, if they can't do a private server, which I believe they can, but I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. If they can't do a private server, I can see that game going by the wayside. But I believe that a private server is very much a thing that they can do. That is not an excuse. But let's just play along and say that they can. But these single player games, they shouldn't even be tied to an online server to begin with. I don't understand why that is a thing. Like, at the end of the day, they just want control of what you play, and they want you to get off of that game as soon as possible, and they want to sell you, in some cases, the same exact game on another platform, or they want you to sell you a sequel, and in some cases, they will take some things away from the original game and try to resell it to you as a microtransaction. That's basically what they try to do. But hey, it is what it is. I'll put it like this: hold on to your games if you have them, especially if you love those games. Do not give in and destroy your games because they said so. Yeah, there are times that you want to get rid of your games, you want to resell them, you want to trade them in, that's perfectly fine. I get it. But for the ones who want to keep their games, don't fall into the trap thinking that they're going to make a better game for you later. Don't fall in for that. Because they're trying to do that with the Crew, and they trying to tell you that the Crew 2 and Crew Motorsport is a better game than the Crew 1, where in some cases, I believe that the Crew 1 is not necessarily a better game, but in my opinion, I think it was a better experience. Going across the entire country was pretty awesome. But let me know what you guys think. I'm going to get to work. I got to make it happen. You know, I got to go work and try to make a little bit of money, you know. But I'm going to get up out of here. And I need to change this mount on this phone, because my phone mount is actually moving all over the place. But it's all good. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'm going to get out of here. Y'all be blessed. I'm out. Peace.